I wanted to share with you an experience in my life that I think can apply to many other, I'm going to say women that are in abusive situations, or I know I've discussed in many of my videos, narcissistic relationships, is with gaslighting, codependency. The list goes on of all these side effects of being with a narcissist is emotionally unstableness. And it happens because we're trying to get, or not we're trying, we are getting manipulated, gaslighted, love bombing, the list goes on. And all of these things cause an emotional unstableness within ourselves. And me personally, I have children with my narcissist. I hate saying my narcissist, like as if I keep him in my pocket or something, or like on my keychain as a like a rabbit's foot. But with the narcissist that I dealt with, I had children. So my children were very young when I was in the worst of my situation. And it does me no good if I'm emotionally unstable, right? Because what is the second nature of a child? All children are emotionally unstable. So if you have a parent trying to take care of a child and the parent's emotionally unstable and the child is emotionally unstable, it is the grounds for an absolute mental breakdown, nervous panic attack. I mean, we could go on and on and on about the things that this would cause. And this is where I had found myself. I found myself in this very position where my traumas from my childhood now resurfaced because I was never taught the proper coping mechanisms when I was younger, when I was presented with things that were overwhelming for me. I had to just put these masks on and just deal with things because I had no choice or no control over the dysfunction that was happening around me. So I had a hard time stabilizing my emotions. And that was one of the things that I've accomplished that I think is such a huge life-changing thing, is when you come from traumatic childhood and you have that problem where you can't regulate your emotions, you fly off the handle, you go into panic attack, you go into flight or fight mode for the most simplest things. It's because we weren't taught that as a child. So now that we're older, it's like we have these extended emotions, these extended feelings, these extended everything, and it's just blowing up. Now, when that happens, as a parent, we're emotionally unstable, we're blowing up, we're teaching our children this modeled behavior. Now, they're already emotionally unstable. So, and I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's just, I have 3 kids. And my God, sometimes I just have to laugh because I'm like, Jesus, I don't know what I'm going to do right now with this. This is overwhelming. So as parents, we will find ourselves in these positions. It is 100% normal. Don't, beat yourself up over it. Like, I failed as a parent. I can't handle this. There are parents out there. Let's not even go there. Okay, we're not going there. But I will say that recognizing that within myself was huge, because once I started working on regulating my emotions and being in control of my emotions, I was now behaving differently. So now I'm modeling that behavior to my children. And I'm a big advocate. I speak to, my oldest is 9 years old and she's very wise. So I try my best to vocalize with her things in regards to how I'm changing. And I will say to her, listen, honey, you remember when mommy used to yell a lot? You remember when mommy used to get so stressed out? You notice that mommy's not like that anymore, and kids don't see things when they're happening gradually. But in those moments where I'm asking her those questions, she'll say, yeah. And I'll say, yeah, I know, honey. That's why when I tell you that I need you to try to work hard at this, or I need you to try to work hard at that, I'm saying that because I've done it with myself and I see how it works. I'm not just telling you like, hey, I'm your mom. And I'm telling you because I'm your mom and that's what I do and you don't have a right to question me. I don't do that with her. I'm very vocal with her because the same trauma that I experienced in that house, my children experienced that same trauma. And that's one thing that is not relatable to me and them. So my traumas from my childhood were a lot more like abandonment, sexual abuse, molestation, physical abuse. Now with my children, it's this narcissistic side of abuse that they experience from their other parent, is the gaslighting, the manipulation, the push and pull behavior. Those are things that I have to guard my children with now, it's not like, oh yeah, well, I'm learning from what I had to do as a child in that situation, because I didn't have manipulation. I didn't have gaslighting around. The people that were abusive to me just were like, yeah, we're abusive to you. Who gives a shit? They didn't care. It wasn't like, oh, okay, let me manipulate her into thinking. They would just do it, or they would just take it. So it was like that element is different from when I was a child to what my children have to deal with. So, I'm a big fan of vocalizing and explaining. Of course, there's boundaries that I implement when it comes to discussing things with my children. I don't just explain everything to them, but I think it's important, and I'm sorry, I'm at the school. You see the school bus? I'm waiting for my daughter to get out. But I think it's important that we as parents can say to our children, like, hey, mommy or daddy has to change. And that's why it's important that you change, because we all should want to change. We should all want to be better people. Every day we should work at being a better person. And that's how I express it to her. And I try to point out who I was back when I lived in the house and we were all this family, and how I couldn't cope with just day-to-day life because of all the abuse that I was dealing with. It was like having a cup and my liquid was right at the edge of that cup at the brim. So any little thing that happened now causes this cup to explode. And it could have been the smallest of things. And then afterwards, after I had lost my mind and I'm like, I would look back and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I let myself get that mad. And here comes the guilt, the shame. All these things can be avoided. And it's a bad cycle to get sucked into as a parent, especially when you're dealing with a narcissist. We blame ourselves enough, and we've lost a sense of ourselves in regards to like the self-respect that we expect and everything like that this whole thing is a big process and it takes steps. So I just wanted to make this small little video. I know it's 7 minutes, but this video about this one particular thing. And I know there's so much to touch on, and I would love to share all the things that have worked positively for me and my children. Like I said, I have 3 children. My oldest is 9, my middle child is 6, and then my youngest is 5. So all my kids are very young, and my middle child is on the autistic spectrum, which adds an extra element to everything as well. So I definitely want to make more videos about this, and when I do, I will link the link up above, so please feel free to check them out. And I hope that anything I say relates to the people who need to hear it. I'm sending you a lot of light and love.